today is going to be legs, basically. I'm going to start off with some squats, because you know I can squat now, obviously. And then I'm going to do some negative squats, which is going to be a new exercise. Then some hamstrings if I can, and then move on to a few other bits and pieces. So first thing is literally just squats. So I'm going to do it to a raised height, as I have been doing, just to, yeah, basically, because that's all I can do. So we'll go with this height to start. Real exciting stuff. So today this is like a actual lower body strength session, if you like. The majority of all the quad work is basically rehab, but it's different to what I'm doing for my normal rehab. So for my normal rehab stuff, that's more stretching and range of motion focused, whereas this is more about actually strengthening my legs. So just been for a walk, literally just up and down the drive for about 20 minutes. Nothing crazy, but without the crutches, without the braces. So I'm gonna see how these go. I have been noticing that I'm getting better at standing up, specifically off the commode. It's like a really good height for me for standing up from. Whereas like some of the other seats and stuff in the house are too low for me to do at the minute. That's a bit high. Try this. So I've been using that to stand up and down from quite a bit. The other thing as well is there's different leg angles of doing it that make a difference. So like this, for example, it's quite a wide angle, quite a wide stance, but I'm still getting a lot of load through my quads as I do this. And when I'm doing them, I'm trying not to just use my glutes and hamstrings and back and like wedge myself up. I'm actively trying to use my quads to do this. I'm like taking two different approaches. One is the range of motion and the other is the loading. So I'm doing both in today's session. So this is going to be like the loading side of things. And then what I'm going to do is, using the lat pull down, I'm going to basically do the opposite in terms of loading, in that I haven't been counting. View. So I've been loading it. I'm going to load it with like the opposite of what I'm doing. I don't think I can squat all the way to this box and back up yet, but we shall see. If I sit all the way back here, my legs are at like nearly 90 degrees. If I push my weight forwards and then stand up, I can do that. But I can't control all the way down, and my knees don't come forwards. When I do this, I can't actually load my knees, but it's still good for my function to be able to do this, just for literally the ability to be able to get up and down from things without having to use my hands. So that's why I'm doing these. It feels like I'm doing proper squats. Like, I don't know if you can see, my knees aren't really coming forward at all, so it's not so much loading my quads a lot, although it is loading them a bit. It certainly feels hard. Alright, that was hard work. It's mad, isn't it? Like, I was going to say 2 months ago, but it's more than 3 months now. 3 months ago, even squatting like 200 kilos was like nothing, not even lifting. Whereas now, this is basically all I can do. going to try for this next lot, I'm going to go a little bit higher than this and try and push my knees forwards. So we'll move this back in here. Now we use, so this is off the wheelchair pad, just to raise this up a little bit. And them studs on these mats, which raise it up again more. That's hard. That is horrible. But it needs doing, doesn't it? It's like borderline. So bench times 10, bench plus pad times 10, and I did bench raise times 10. That was first, wasn't it? Now I'll go with the negatives. So for this as well, I can't really tolerate doing the right lot of it, otherwise my legs are just useless for the rest of the day. So frustrating, but it's what I need to do at the minute. So what I'm going to do now is the negative squats. So I'm going to use the counterbalance of the lat pull down. You know what, I'll just leave that on as a starting point. It doesn't need to be exact. And then I can gradually take the weight off. So what my intention is here is to use that as a counterbalance for my weight as I go down. I'll put this in there so it doesn't roll into me. So instead of just doing like a squat here and having this to help me come back up, what I'm going to do is use this to help me. So I can load my knees. Oh, that's hard. Oh. I don't know if you can see the difference between the two. So when I've been squatting onto here, I'm going to use this just to demonstrate because that was hard work. So when I've been squatting down to the bench, I've been ending up with my legs at this sort of angle. So I'm more sitting my hips back. So I'm still using my quads. That's more like life function, if you like. And then on there, what I've been ending up is in this kind of a position there, which it might not look much different, but that to me, that feels like as if my ankle was basically under my bum of how much that's stretching my quad here. And that is one of the rehab things that I'm doing at the minute. So basically I'll go from this position here and push into that range there to what I can tolerate, Again, keeping it uncomfortable but not painful, and repeating that for, it's usually pain that I'm using to modulate it to a max of 2 minutes in total time. I don't think I've ever actually hit that 2 minute limit yet, because it goes from uncomfortable to actually pain. So that's the difference between the two. So these again, I'm going to do another set in a second. I'm going to do 3 lots with that, so that's 47.5 kilos on the, so it's minus 47.5 from my body weight. Because I've been thinking about like loading and stuff, and all rehab is just training. So minus 47.5, 47.5 times 5. All rehab is just appropriate loading of tissues and pain management. Is literally it. So it's no different to normal training, except that it's probably just scaled back. So what would count as rehab for one person might just look like training for another person, and vice versa. So like, if normal training for me is squatting 200 kilos for a set of 5, normal training for somebody else might be squatting 100 kilos for 5. Normal training for somebody else might be squatting body weight for 5. Even further regression is squatting less than body weight for a set of 5. So it's the same thing on a spectrum. And right now, my legs are below the bottom end of the spectrum where most people would think training starts, when in reality it's not. Training starts just when it's challenging. I mean, like, at the gym, we work with loads of people where their starting point is they can't do a bodyweight squat. So we start them with like a very high box and gradually reduce the height over time, and then strengthen their legs through other means. Because the disadvantage they might have, whereas the advantage I have, is I can hang on to my body weight there and use that to help me, whereas they might not be strong enough to do that. So it's like, I guess one of the big things with rehab that makes it different is when you have a baseline in your body of here and one body part here, you can use this to help train this differently. Whereas if your entire baseline is here, then it's just regressed training. So it's basically the same thing, but it's using what you've got to help. So like I say, this probably wouldn't work if somebody was just a complete beginner and they just weren't strong enough to hold on to this. Right, so loading the knees. One more. Well, that is like both awful and excellent. So it's awful in that I can feel it through my quads the whole time, and it's like borderline painful. But it's excellent because I can actually like squat through a bigger range of motion through my knee and actually do more of a movement. But that's going to be the last one because now my knees are throbbing and I do want to do too much. I want to do more. I just want to do all of it. I feel like, so with my legs as well, right? It feels like with my knees, I basically need to swap the order of them around. With my legs, it feels like my knees are just stuck. They just need to like snap into place. See, we don't want that because that's what caused this whole mess. That's what it feels like anyway. Right, I need to move a few bits. So next up is going to be step ups. And this is something I've been like wanting to start doing for ages, because at the minute one of my biggest like issues is I just can't get up and down steps, and I need to start training. I need to start building up the capacity to do that, and I don't just want to have to rely on weird ways of standing on things. So I've got these mats that I'm going to use basically to practice stepping up onto. Just get them all out so I don't have to come around here to grab them again. Something else as well. So yesterday I did all my walking, and on this watch it said I'd done 2,000 steps by the end of the day. My phone it said 3,000, which is good. I'm gonna just go off the watch because that's easier. Right. So when I'm doing these, I just became aware that I was doing it badly. I'm trying to not shift my hips as I do it and just have the load on my knee. So from here, I can just lift my hips up and down and touch the floor, but I'm trying not to do that and to actually bend my knee to get to the ground. So this height I can manage without even having to bend my knees. So that's useful for doing that exercise. But I hate the like, whole thing of like functional training. But training for whatever purpose you want is functional training. And right now, the purpose that I want is to be able to get upstairs. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move these around actually so that I can use this for support. So up, down. Potentially, should I go over? That's left side, right side, left side. Right up, right down, left up, left down. That's fine. I need to move it back because I'm doing it off that onto the higher mats, so I'm not getting the same range of motion on both sides. So right side up, step done, and then right side down, fine. So then this side, left side up, and then left side down. Cool. So this actually isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Kind of want to go higher. See how this goes. So right side up, and then I'm going to go down like step by step. Going down is harder than going up. Left side up. Cool. I think I might need to separate them into two different exercises. So going up and down. So up, fine. Down, fine. Yeah, this is potentially going to be better. looks so trivial, but that's like a really big improvement. That's pretty good, really. I don't know how high a standard step height is. That was alright, actually. I'm going to start having them in more regularly. Yeah, this is the first session doing it, so I don't want to go too crazy and do too much. That's my, like, I keep saying I don't want to go too, like I really do. I want to do more. 3 mats times 5, 10 minutes side. I want to do more, but I probably shouldn't. So that's why I keep like saying I want to be careful of this. That like it's not that I don't want to push things. I really do, but it is that I don't want to have an accident that makes things worse or impedes the long-term outcome. So don't get me wrong. I want to make progress, and I want to progress as fast as possible. But equally, it's not worth it to me to progress like a month sooner, 2 months sooner, or whatever, but then have the risk of re-injury be exponentially higher. And these risks, I don't have any research to say what the risk would be. It's more just like using a bit of logic that I think the risk would be higher if I push things too fast. It's potentially part of what ended up causing the injury, is like pushing things quite fast. I don't know. Now I'm 87% sure I have some ankle weights. What I don't know is where they are. And ankle weights are not actually going to be useful for me for a long time, because my legs should get stronger than them fairly soon. And they're not in here. They must be in the shed. So the plan had been to use the ankle weights to do some weighted leg extensions. Well, they're saying that. I've got ankle straps here, and I've got plates. Could give that a go. So I'll show you what I'm going to do. Basically, I'm going to do a lying leg extension next, but I want to load them, because just bodyweight leg extensions, the level of pain in them is consistent and gradually getting better, but the actual stimulus on them is basically non-existent. And I've just put this in the wrong way for what I want to do. So you'll see why in a second. But basically, I want to be so that there's a bit of a deficit, because if I sit at the end here, my leg will touch the floor. So what I want to do is have it so when I'm sat there, my leg is bent as much as possible. Ankle weights. Here we go. Don't need to use the straps. I knew I had some. They're not very heavy, but as a temporary measure they'll work. I think they're about 1 kilo each. So we'll just start with them. Start with the right leg first, because that's the more painful one, generally. And excellent. The bracket on it is snapped. I'll try this one instead then. So I'm going to just have to swap this every time. The little metal clip snapped off that one. I don't know where it is. We might have one somewhere, there might be a spare one. But for right now, I'm just going to have to swap it every set. So, from here, so in this position here, my quad is in a shortened position there. So in theory, I can get the range of motion deeper down here to then straighten it up there. If I lean back, the quad is now in a longer position here, ever so slightly, but that's kind of irrelevant to my knee. It's not really making any difference. So I'll just do my extensions here instead. And when I'm doing them, I'm trying to, at the bottom, pull my heel closer to my bum. I think one set of these is going to be enough. See, it's gone from like doing this with body weight, where it feels like nothing, to like that's actually quite hard. And trying to control the whole rep. So that wasn't too bad. How's that for hamstring flexibility? So that side, it feels like I'm not really doing anything. It's funny because this side is the one that was allegedly worse, but yeah, it feels so much better. I mean, the scar is double the length, so like when I say allegedly, I don't think they've made it up. But I'm wondering, so the surgery was basically the same. The only difference was on this side they did an additional suture to reinforce the repair. So I'm wondering if that additional suture has helped. Either that, or on this side I could start doing stuff sooner. So potentially starting doing stuff sooner cause more disruption, which has irritated this one. Or the obvious thing, which I don't know how I forgot, is the nerve damage on this leg. It's potentially just making everything feel worse, even though it's not actually any worse. I don't know. I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but see, after doing these exercises now, my walking is so much worse already. Like just standing is hard work. 1 kilogram times by 10 a side, just one set. So, I feel like I'm missing something here. I'm sure I had some actual training I wanted to do. Because I can't load hamstring curls in here, apart from using those weights. I'm going to have to check on that.